Second tradition. For our group purpose there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as He may express Himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. One of the things that we try to look at in this little meeting is how these traditions, although they are written in the sense of being guidance for our fellowship and for our groups, also apply equally to us. And no tradition is any more applicable to us individually than the second tradition, because it is talking about precisely the kind of life that we must lead, the expression of God's will for us through our group conscience, and the expression of God's will for us as we meditate and as we allow Him to speak to us and to motivate us in our lives. So following God's will is not just a function of us as individuals, but it is also a function of the group. And this is a tough one because there's some difficult traditions in the sense of traditions learned from being out in life and being in groups and being in clubs and in the military and in politics and so forth. And there is no such thing as a group conscience, God speaking through a group conscience, in any other human endeavor that I'm aware of. I mean, it's just not something which is even considered to have any viability, because it's true, isn't it, that every group has to have some kind of a strong leadership. People who are going to tell other people what to do. People who are going to handle the money and make sure the dues are paid, and people who are going to lay down the rules and enforce the rules and make sure that they're followed. This is just normal. This is what every group does, every group but AA. Let's read this first paragraph. It's very enlightening. Where does AA get its direction? Who runs it? This too is a puzzler for every friend and newcomer. When told that our society has no president having authority to govern it, no treasurer who can compel the payment of dues, no board of directors, who can cast an erring member into outer darkness, when indeed no AA can give another directive and enforce obedience, our friends gasped and exclaimed, "This can't be. There must be an angle somewhere." These practical folk then read tradition too and learn that the sole authority in AA is a loving God as He may express Himself in the group conscience. They dubiously ask an experienced AA member if this really works. The member, sane to all appearances, immediately answers, "Yes, it definitely does." The friends mutter that this looks vague, nebulous, pretty naive to them. Then they commence to watch us with speculative eyes, pick up a fragment of AA history, and soon have the solid facts. Now, one of the things that's very difficult, and we need to address it as members of our group here and members of other groups, is what is this idea of a group conscience? What is it? What does group conscience mean? Is it simply the old election process that we've always known, where people politic and may the most popular person win, and those who have the strongest voices and make the most noise will prevail when it comes to deciding on policies within the group? Or is this actually to be the result of God speaking through each individual member, and as this comes together in a group conscience? Or is the group conscience something which impresses itself upon the group simply because they're willing to accept God's will? These questions are almost never addressed. And these days, it seems as if group conscience is now deteriorated to a popularity contest, and to whoever happens to show up at a meeting. Another thing that we need to address, or need to think about at least, in light of this tradition, is what is a business meeting and what is the purpose of a business meeting, and how is it that a business meeting would be the only place that the group can express God's will through its group conscience. And these are important questions we need to answer. For a matter of practicality and good organization, I suppose that people have found that it's more convenient to have one meeting a month, say, called a business meeting, and have whatever the mood of the moment should happen to be becomes the ruling force for that particular group. Many groups, most groups I suppose these days, go to the extreme of saying that once the group conscience is decided, it can't be changed for 2 months or 3 months or whatever. I mean, we need to think about that, don't we? Aren't we saying God can't have His way with us except when we say it's okay? Group conscience can only be taken at specified intervals, and therefore whatever it is that God wants to say to us can just wait until we get around to it. Maybe that's not what this means, but it sounds almost like it to me. So again, we've got some things that we can consider here. We don't have any government. We have trusted servants. Nobody can be disciplined for anything. Period. We don't make judgments about anybody, not in the sense of official judgments. We don't have any president for life. Bill Wilson III is not still presiding in New York and appointing czars of each area and district. We don't have anything like that. I served in New York as a delegate, and I can tell you that you go up there thinking you're going to make a big difference, and it turns out it's the same old thing. There's a huge debating society, and a few things get accomplished. But the basic idea here is that each group is autonomous, can do any damn thing it wants to do. We don't have any rules and regulations. Now, a lot of groups have adopted bylaws, and in order to change those bylaws, it takes damn near an act of Congress. And yet, if these bylaws are the product of group conscience, if the group conscience changes, they should change.
I'm sorry, this is important to me because I've been so the point that I've been what's the word? More than reprimanded, I've been punished from a specific group that I can't hold or chair a meeting for 6 months. And yet you say, or I believe I heard you say, well, that can't be done. And yet each group is autonomous in the sense that they can do whatever the hell they want.
Well, any group is free to break the traditions all they want.
Okay.
But when I say they can't do it, they can't do it and live by the traditions.
Thank you.
Obviously, it works both ways. If the group is going to take arbitrary action, we don't have an AA police to tell them they can't. We can't go out and get a writ of mandamus and force them in before a judge, see whether they have a right to do it or not. That's not the way it works. The way it works is if a group continuously violates the traditions, it means that it's violating spiritual principles, which are here for the good of our fellowship and of our groups. And alcoholism is a self-cleaning oven. And sooner or later, the group that continues to violate traditions will inevitably fail. It's not going to survive any more than you and I will survive if we violate the spiritual principles as stated in the 12 steps. And we get the same. And when we look at these traditions, we have to see that what is good for the group is good for the individual. What's good for the fellowship is good for the individual. If in every instance we are to turn to God for guidance as individuals, why is it that our groups are not? It is not necessary for our groups to do the same thing. I believe it is. I believe that at any time, for example, in the stairway group, if someone decides that there is something that they would like to see done, or there's something being done they feel is not proper, or that could be done better, they have a right to ask for a group conscience. And I see nothing wrong with that. I've done that a number of times myself to find out what a group wants to do. Why is it that we feel we can limit God and His direction of our groups where we know we can't limit God in His direction of us as individuals? It doesn't sound to me as if that's very rational. Who'd like to share? Yes.
What do you mean, bring up a group knowledge during a regular meeting, not during the so-called first
Of course. Well, the group is meeting, isn't it? But some of these groups have bylaws where something has to be proposed 3 months in a row before it can be voted on and all that stuff. And yet we call that a group conscience. Maybe it is, maybe it's not. I don't know. It doesn't sound right to me. It doesn't sound as if, to me, it doesn't sound as if we're giving God the right to direct us, making God the director of our group as well as of our individual self. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, because I've been a member of several groups and they just don't allow it.
Yeah.
Some of the things have been burdened, and so no, you have to bring it up in the next business meeting and stuff like that.
Well, unfortunately, business meetings tend to be very sparsely populated by people who are of any importance in the group. They tend to be hangouts for people who are power drivers. And then their will is imposed upon the group through the process of calling it a group conscience. And to me, that doesn't sound right. And the groups that indulge in that, I have to detox from them. I get the hell away from them.
Right. I'm also a member of the Men's Independence Group, and some of our members, I know we're free to go, have left because didn't like the changes that the group as a whole was going through. And that was upsetting to me. I don't know what I mean, but I know it came out of politicking. Even I got involved. I got to be on the
Yep.
And so forth. But it was disturbing, because there was a lot of bad feeling, between certain
Sure.
members.
Well, there are business meetings which are there's Donnybrooks. I mean, there's an excuse for everybody to let their hair down, and we do. I've seen business meetings that were an atrocity. Who else would like to share on this? Dom, did you have something you wanted to say about it?
No, Tom.
No, Dom.
Oh, not really. No, I can understand what Gus was talking about, because a lot of times they bring up things like you had said prior that, it's not appropriate to bring up now, and only members are allowed to extend any viewpoints on the situation. If something is to be done, wait till we have a meeting. You're allowed to attend, but only members are allowed to vote upon it. When I come to this meeting here, the terminology is usual. Remember when you say you are over there and signing up and doing things and saying, yes, I am a member. Members, raise your hand, or we're going to do something. And they work with that nucleus. Like you said, they get like a guru, and then they work with that clique. And if he happens to be friendlier to a few people, they tend to infect anyone around them because they all want to stay friends. So he'll say, well, this is what we want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one circumstance I've heard of once before, I think, they made a vote on should children be allowed in at a closed meeting. And the outcome was they said no.
Because?
No reason. They just didn't want the children at the meeting. So the outcome of that was that two of the members, which I found out later, they were looking theoretically to get rid of the members because they knew the members couldn't leave the children home. So those two members found another meeting to go to, and they eliminated the member, they eliminated the children. It was an indirect thing, but that's actually the format that you see a little bit. It's introduced in different meetings.
Yeah.
I know what Gus is talking about when he brings that up. And I know where you're coming from with that too.
Well, I'm not trying to express any sort of controversial point of view here. I'm expressing my own doubts about it. I personally feel that we're way off base, but then, that's also pretty much the way it's done. So the other thing that, since that's the way it's done, I suppose if we're not happy with what is happening in the business meetings, we ought to be there and have our voice heard. And if it's going to be simply a popularity vote, at least we get to cast our vote. On the other hand, if you're a purist, pretty much like I am, you say, well, this isn't group conscience at all. I don't know whether I want to be involved, but generally speaking, I do get involved because I feel that I don't have any right to complain if I don't. Which may sound like a kind of a twisted way of looking at it, but that's the way it is. Do you have something you want to say? Oh, sorry, your hand up.
Who, me?
Yeah.
I just started coming around. I don't know what's going on.
Oh, okay. Well, we're not sure we do either.
That's why we're talking about it.
For me, to even try to compliment, on how it should go, it's damaging to me because, I've been coming back and forth in and out of the program for like the last 2 years, so I've never stuck around to see how anything works. So the best thing for me to do is just do what I'm doing, just go to different meetings and sit back and get different feedback from me and try to put it together in my head as to how it should go.
Might not be a bad idea to get a sponsor and work the steps.
Oh, I have a sponsor.
Oh, good. All right. Good.
But as far as the business needs, I participate in my own group, but I never know what's going on. Like I said, I just run around with how it's supposed to happen.
Yeah. Thank you. Tommy, you got anything you'd like to share with us tonight?
No, I'm kind of stuck. I love this position, I really do, because if you take it to its, as the meaning is there, that we all should really try to be patient, tolerant, and loving,
Yep.
because that's what God is, and I just get carried away, and I end up wanting to fight verbally with people. I took a group conscious at a meeting. Somebody pulled the phone, plugged on the phone. The phone's ringing, pulls it. I said, that's the reason for the fucking phone to be there, And I took the group conscious right, and this guy said, shove your group conscious up your ass. And he's a big deal, And then I told my spiritual advisor, I said, I blew him out of the fucking water. He said, what the hell way that's the 2 people voted to leave the phone off, and like 30 voted to keep it in there, which is the only reason for the phone, for a sick and suffering person to call.
Yep.
Anyway, I find it difficult to be loving and tolerant. I really do. I go to business meetings now because I want some controversy. Some woman was saying, we got to obey the rules, you got to obey. And I let her blab on, and I said, guess what? There are no rules. Anyway, I don't know.
You shouldn't do that, Tom. That's not kind and loving.
I should obey her rules.
She needs the rules.
Anyway, I just think that God allows us to shoot our mouths off, and whether we think we're right or wrong, we can shoot our mouths off. I just don't want to consider myself as justifying my anger at these assholes who are trying to, run things.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, I've seen kids getting thrown out. Well, look at Howard now. He's suspended from cheering. I'd love to fight that. Who the hell are they to tell him, because he didn't go exactly by the guidelines of one of the meetings. I don't think that, and there's a book like that with all the rules in it, for each meeting. The first thing it says is smile. If I don't feel like smile,
it gets complicated, and I really maybe should give up trying to interpret God, you know. But anyway, I love this tradition because to me it's just all inclusive, you know. It's just no rules. It's just you know, the 6 or 7 of us right now can take a good conscience and it'll probably be what God wants.
You bet.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for asking me to.
Sure, yeah.
Hey, Jim, let me ask you a question.
Speak up.
The way they run group meetings and business meetings, is there a book or something that you read and tell you how?
No. You're not going to get any help that way. You're just going to have to go and see what's happening because and depends a lot on who the chairperson is and how well they control the meeting. And depends on whether there's any money. So if there's money involved, it's going to be a Donnybrook. You can almost count on it. The group that stays poor really doesn't have a whole lot to fight over. But the groups that have a lot of money have plenty to fight over, and they fight tooth and nail over it. So, you would kind and loving and tolerant, forget it. That's not a business meeting. Now, in the Stairway group, we don't have any of these Donnybrooks. We got very quick and dirty and get it over with type business meetings. We have a few things and we discuss them, and then we take a group conscience or a vote on it, boom, that's it, and we all go home. But some groups, as Tom said, people live for those business meetings, time of great conflict and controversy, and they consider it to be a lot of fun, you know, get in there and come in swinging. And then the rest of the time we're supposed to be helping each other, but at the business meeting all bets are off. And I've seen groups just simply disappear because of that. I mean, gone. They're gone. Groups have been around a long time too. I think the basic idea here, guys, is that these traditions are spiritual principles which guide our groups and our fellowship. We break spiritual principles at our peril. We ought to know that. And the more often that we do that, the more we allow people to be grand gurus and poobahs and powers that be rather than trusted servants. The more we allow ourselves to be controlled, the more money we accumulate, because money is our great enemy. The closer we get to the group just falling apart. It will too, because alcoholism is the basic problem we all have, and alcoholism is not very patient and not very tolerant, and it's going to get us, and it will. The only way a group hangs together, keeps its unity, is to abide by the traditions, abide by the principles. Otherwise, it's simply asking for serious trouble. But go to the meeting and you'll learn quickly. Each group is going to be different. There's no manual. What Tom is talking about, a manual of meeting forms, and smile first, and then and people get real angry if you don't follow exactly what the format is. I mean, it's like a bunch of kids, playing dodgeball. Well, you threw out of turn, or something like that. Or children playing in a sandbox. Johnny threw sand on me. In the law we call it reductio ad absurdum. We take this whole idea of having laws and we reduce that down to the absurd. And this is one of the great dangers of not following the traditions. We'll get ourselves clear off base very quickly. That's human. That's the way human beings are. That's why we have these traditions to follow. Who's next?
At the bottom line, they have a page for each meeting, and there's 63 pages. And at the end, it'll say on some of the pages, not all of them, it'll say, "Do not ask for a burning desire." On the page. So I'm going to use the irresistible impulse. But I mean, what's that about?
Well, irresistible impulse is that's a good defense to charge of murder in some states, But nobody can criticize you if I ask for an irresistible impulse.
Well, see, fine. I'm going to ask for a burning desire because who has the right to tell the chairperson?
Nobody knows,
not to
nobody
ask
knows. I mean, it's also ridiculous,
childish.
yeah.
Where does it come from? Where does it originate from, that stuff?
Probably Kathy.
Somebody wrote it down and nobody objected, so it stays, and it becomes set in stone. It's like so many of the things that are bandied around these rooms, you know, they're repeated so often that pretty soon they become true. They were never true to begin with, but we keep repeating them until they become some kind of a truism.
Yep.
Who else would like to share?
Me.
All right, me, go ahead.
Jeez. I paid for dinner, mind you. This has to do with this, but it's not going to sound like it.
All right. We're warned, guys, so
That's great.
be careful.
Somebody asked me to speak at a prison, and I did not get clearance because I was arrested for assaulting a police officer. But there's a Magna Carta in this country, supposedly or allegedly saying that you're innocent until proven guilty. And I find that totally hypocritical. That I can't speak in a prison and I haven't been found guilty of a crime that I'm accused of doing. And I just thought about it when we were talking about the brute conscience and rules and all this shit. Man's rules, law's rules, the man with the black robes rules. It's absurd. I'm innocent according to the law, and yet I'm punished because of the law.
Well, have you ever been in prison?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Well, did you ever find that was a rational experience?
Well, I met a wonderful man named Angel up in Bridgeport Correctional Facility, and we spent hours talking, and he was very spiritual. And he said, Howie, they can take away my privileges, but they can't take away my freedom.
Well, they can't take away my commissary fund either. That would be embezzlement.
But again, you know, rules. I have not been found guilty of anything, and they're denying me the right to go in and speak.
But it's not a right; it's a privilege granted to you by the warden.
But wasn't I also given the privilege of Magna Carta?
Well, Magna Carta was in England. It had nothing to do with the United States.
Well, I thought we had one here.
No.
It reminded me of rules. Rules.
Who denied you access?
He doesn't even know what year Magna Carta was signed, do you? Alan?
Sure, 1759.
12.
No,
12.
16.
12, 15, 12.
12:15.
I think that's right.
Is that?
Isn't it?
Wasn't 1066?
Oh, shit.
There's my phone number.
No.
106.
Who denied you that?
Okay.
The institutions committee?
No clearance when you call up the jails for clearance for individuals. You give them the date of birth and your name. I just
You know,
reject it.
you brought something, I remember, as Tom was speaking and everything, he belongs to the same home group. I remember I had about 2 years sobriety, and I wanted to be integral, and I had to go to the judge who passed away. Unless he approved me, there was no way I could be integral.
You mean this guy's dead? And
Now it's hard to go there.
the guy's dead, and you got to have his approval.
No, he was still alive now.
Oh,
he
he's
passed away, but I had to go. I had to literally wait until I got the okay.
Is the reason he's dead?
No.
Oh,
I don't know. You know these things.
well, this is called succession, the right of succession, and I have the right to choose my successor. Right? Makes no sense at all, but that's all right. But if your successor dies, then nobody can ever fill that vacancy again, right? See, that makes a lot of sense too.
I mean, it's like, I want to be a group. It's a group. I just got a call, so I had to go to this one individual.
Okay. Who's next? Bob, did you have anything you wanted to share with us?
Yeah. Sure, I need to share. I don't know, I there's something here, like, Bill's trying, I think Bill, he's the founder, he was the founder, and I hear, he had kind of like an ego problem, and he had to give this thing to the people.
Yeah.
And it talks about in the back of the book, he gives it as an example of him working with other alcoholics in his home, and he didn't have a job, and he was, you know, he was starving to death, and he was really working with other alcoholics. And I think the simplicity of it is what I'm kind of getting in some of the meetings is that we lose sight of our purpose here to help another alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I see a lot of people, well, I got a new car today, and boy, these things are this program's really working. And as I'm getting sober, I have more, I see that the suffering, my own suffering through, through these new people. And the God, that's what attracted me to AA was when I started, I had seen some of the members with some incredible love that they had, just in their person. And that really attracted me. And when I came in here for the first time, it was people that had seen the hope in me that I didn't see in myself, and that attracted me. And they seen that hope, and they shared that strength and hope that I had something to live for, and that attracted me. And that's why it's like I was in so much pain that I felt that there was a loving God there. I mean, I was on my face praying for some help. I didn't know what kind of help it was. I didn't know what AA was about. And someone knew a friend of a friend that was in AA that I called, and I got some relief from the psychic pain I was going through. And I think that these people that get some sobriety in here, they forget about our purpose of helping other alcoholics, and that there is a loving God and the consciousness of, I think we lose sight that we're here in I think we lose our purpose of why we're here.
Yep.
And Bill was getting his life back by helping other alcoholics.
Sure.
There's no reason for me to clean my life up if I'm not going to have great sobriety. It's like that's what I'm looking for. That the rest of my life, I want to clean up the mess I made one hell of a mess. But in return, I get my life back. I get some great sobriety, and I see people that have the sobriety that I like. They seem to be busy, but they always seem to have time for you. Or if I'm not doing nothing at all, I don't have time for nobody. And so I just want to say that. I'm not here about getting a brand new car out there and get a $1 million home and all that stuff. I'm here, my spiritual, what I'm going to take when I die, and this is where I'm at right now. It's like I'm not really give a shit about a new Porsche right now. I really care about what's going to happen, when I die. And I don't want to die drunk, but what can I take to the Lord when I go? That's my higher power. What can I give Him? And the only way I can get that is by sharing my strength and hope with another alcoholics.
Okay. Thanks, Bob. Well, I've been rich and I've been poor, and I like rich a hell of a lot better. Yes.
Tell that particular story. What impressed me was Bill was at one time going to go professional.
Yes.
And he went to his group, and everything was quiet. I mean, it seemed like a great thing to do what he was doing. Counsel people, etc.
Right.
And someone just spoke up and said, Bill was wondering why I was so quiet. He thought that they were really backing him up. And he said, well, Bill, it's a good thing what you're doing, but it's not the best. And that's what impressed me.
Yeah, that's good.
Sometimes things look like it's a good thing to do, but it is really the best.
Yeah.
I guess it's a matter of, I always get the word, early Alzheimer's. Finding out through God's help the thing to do, inspiration.
Well, that happened to have been a very important revelation, because we found out in latter days people who are here in recovery but who take on a job with treatment centers and so forth have a real tough time staying sober. And apparently it's because while they're in their workaday, they're required to adopt the agenda of the treatment center, which almost always has human solutions involved rather than spiritual solutions. And also, when we carry a message, we can have no agenda. We must leave the results up to God. It isn't up to us whether somebody gets sober or not. It is up to us to carry the message. And so, historically, it's been very difficult for people to stay sober and to also spend most of their working day carrying the message of psychiatry or psychology or the human solutions, and following somebody else's agenda and having to account for their successes in the recovery process. So it's a difficult thing, and people who do it successfully have to split these two things completely apart. Their 12-step work on the one hand, which is without any agenda with it all, and their work for which you're getting paid, where they're required to do certain things in order to be paid to do it. So I think that was a significant insight, even at that time, that this probably wouldn't work very well. Did you want to share with us tonight?
I'm just new to the program, and I'm just coming here to listen.
Yeah, what's your name?
Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, Bob.
Well, we're glad to have you here with us. You got any questions we can help you with?
Well, I can come to the one-on-one, the 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock meetings for the last 3 months or so.
Mm-hmm.
I went to some of the other meetings around, and I like this club the best as far as...
Well, good.
Because there's no rules, and they just stick to the traditions, which I know not much about. But anyway, I feel welcome here.
Well, that's good, Bob. You sure are welcome, you know. And you might want to try to get to know a few people around here. You'll find it.
Well, I got to go to court 23rd of April. No, 3rd of April. So I'm not going to be around here for a while, but not for my choice.
Well, they're going to incarcerate you for a while, you think?
I think so.
Yeah. You might be surprised when you go in there, and if you're actually sober and you've been working the program, you may be surprised at what happens.
I'm getting a bunch of meetings under my belt.
Well, you might want to get a few people to write letters for you and stuff, you know, just because the judges really like to see that you're trying to get sober and stay sober. It's real important. All right, guys, we have anything else? Is there any irresistible impulse? Tommy? No? Okay, let's close the meeting.
Stay close. Okay.
All right, let's let this circle represent the unity of our fellowship. A moment of silence for those who are still suffering. And we'll say the Lord's Prayer together. And please remember in the stairway to please say anything after saying amen. Thank you. Lord's Prayer.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Jim.
We'll be back next week. God willing, the creek don't rise. And I hope
Same time, same channel.
Yeah.